Whether you're already in a management role or you're newly promoted, there's always room for growth. Now, a local author is revealing the leadership secrets of highly successful managers to help others reach their full potential and succeed in their role. Tyrah is in the ARC Lounge this morning with Sabina Nawaz, the author of You're the Boss, Become the Manager You Want to Be and Others Need. Tyrah?
Thanks, Holly. Sabina, first off, I love the title of your book, and congratulations.
Thank you so much, Tyrah.
Of course. And so just start off by telling us why you decided to write this book.
Well, it was a really personal reason. I was a lousy manager at Microsoft. Now, yeah, I mean, that wasn't always the case. At first, I managed teams that built software. I cared about them. I coached them. Those were great years. And then I was coming back from parental leave. My first day back, I'm putting on lipstick for the first time in 5 months. My assistant, Lori, calls me a little frantic. Where are you? Steve expects you in 30 minutes. I hit warp speed on 520 on the way to work. And Lori is reading this memo that I'm supposed to discuss with Steve Ballmer, the CEO of Microsoft. And Tyrah, that set the pace and tone for my return to work. Inbox overflowing, calendar filled, an infant at home, no sleep, no peace, no patience. I morphed overnight from caring and compassionate to snippy and short. Still 5'3" short, but now short-tempered. And so I would lose my patience easily. I didn't have time to provide detailed instructions, let alone repeat them. I started to micromanage. When people would come to my office, I'd put all 10 fingers on the keyboard and look over my shoulder, indicating, I'm super busy, I'm more important than you, spit it out, move on. And I thought the worst part that I was being efficient.
Wow.
Until my colleague tells me, do you know that Zach is crying in his office because of what you said to him?
Oh my gosh.
Right. And so that's the moment I realized, and as I talked to Zach and his eyes brimmed as I was apologizing to him, that I need to treat people as human beings. And how had I morphed from being this wonderful manager to this boss from hell? So the reason I've written this book is because I don't think power corrupts people. It's pressure that corrupts people. And under pressure, we do the kinds of things that I had found myself doing. And nobody tells you because power isolates you from the things, from the impact that you're having on people as a result of that pressure. So I've written this book because I have deep compassion for people under pressure and the blind spots that are created because they also have power.
Wow, what a strong story. And I feel like, you know, I think it's nice that you had some self-awareness. You're like, this is what I was like. But did you give yourself grace at the time, too? Because you were a new mother.
Initially, I did not. I definitely beat myself up as to how did I become this way? What on earth happened? Over time, I have learned that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's talk about how your book highlights how pressure and power can distort even well-meaning leaders. I'm sure that was your intention as well. What are some early warning signs a leader should watch out for to avoid becoming that mean, horrible boss from hell?
Well, there are 42 questions at the end of my book called 360 Yourself. And if you take those questions, you'll get a sense of where exactly you're veering into troubled territory. But if you don't have time to go through all 42, here's one. Do people tend to disagree with you? Do people tend to raise their own ideas? Or is it only your idea and then crickets or hollow praise when you ask for feedback and input? That is a cue that nobody is comfortable sharing their own ideas. They just want to flatter you and elevate you further and surround you with this hollow praise, and you're moving forward into bad boss territory.
Okay, you're like, why isn't anybody challenging me? Everyone's just agreeing with me. They must be afraid of me or intimidated.
Well, usually I think, I must be right. Look how smart I am. I mean, this is a book for successful people, and we don't get successful being wrong. So now more and more people are telling us, you're right, you're great.
That's so interesting. I'm like mind-boggled right now. And obviously you draw from years of coaching top executives at companies like Microsoft and Amazon. What would you say is one common leadership blind spot you've seen across industries?
One really common blind spot, so common that I actually trained my kids and to future-proof them, is this buying into the myth of a singular story. When we are successful, when we get promoted further and further up, we have a great track record, we have a lot of experience, so we're used to being right. we're used to being right, and we think that our opinion is the opinion, the only opinion. And no one, of course, as I said, will disagree with that. So we buy into this one singular way to see things, and that can be 90% of the time correct and fine, but that can also be incomplete or incorrect.
Oh my goodness. Obviously, this book is for, managers, I'd say employers primarily, but if other people are reading this, is there anything that they can take away? I mean, let's say someone at work is dealing with a manager or boss that's just a bit too hard to please. What would you recommend they do to maybe, I don't want to say confront their boss, but maybe just start that conversation?
3 things.
Okay.
First of all, 3 people have actually told me they have done this, is anonymously drop off a copy of my book on their desk.
Read this.
Second would be use numbers.
Okay.
In other words, so if the boss is saying, I got to get this done, this is important, that's important. What if you said, hey boss, on a scale of 1 to 10, how urgent is this? On a scale of 1 to 10, how important is it that this happened this way versus that way? So now just using numbers as a relative scale will help you and your boss regulate a little bit more. The third is, if you can do nothing with the boss, all you can do is control yourself. One of the most, power creates this gap, it separates us, and this power gap makes it hard for us to see things clearly. One of the most insidious power gaps is when we make up stories about people in position of power, especially what they're thinking about us. And it's more dire, more severe, more catastrophic than they probably intended. Because even though we think bosses are terrible and we have so many bad boss memes, the reality is most bosses don't wake up in the morning thinking how they're going to make life miserable for you.
Right, no.
So when you're imagining that, oh, they're gunning for my job, I better say goodbye to my office plants before I go into their office, make up 3 different stories. Maybe the reason they didn't smile at you this morning is because they were dropping off their surly teenager. Or maybe they were getting ready for a stressful presentation to their own boss. So if you make up 3 more stories, you'll tend to take it less personally, breathe easier, and have less pressure in your life and job.
Yeah, give them some grace as well.
Exactly.
They're not out to get me. They have things going on in their personal life as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I jokingly say you're not special.
You're not
It's
special.
not about you.
Right. Don't take everything personally.
Yes.
Control your own emotions and thoughts. You mentioned that a lot of this, I guess, mean boss behavior comes from feeling pressure at work.
Yes.
Are there any just some practical things managers and bosses can do just to self-soothe and have more peace of mind on the job?
Yes. So let me ask you this, Tara. When you're under pressure, what do you tend to do most?
Just unplug for a little bit.
You
take
unplug.
some deep breaths, maybe.
Okay,
Don't look
that's
at email.
fantastic. That's fantastic. Most people tell me they work even harder. They hunker down, they cancel all their social plans, they stop going to the gym, eat junk food, they do more, and that, of course, is feeding the beast, and it's the hamster wheel of pressure.
Okay.
So when you're under pressure, do nothing.
Do
what
nothing.
Tyrah is doing. Take a moment and just step back. And if you think you don't have that moment to step back, notice what you're doing. You're playing video games, or you're doing other things that are actually not productive in the name of productivity.
Binge watch a show, maybe.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Sabina, for joining us today. Your book is available now, and certainly take advantage of it. Some great takeaways in there. Not if you're a manager, a boss, or anyone really, it sounds like, can take away some things with this.
Thank you so much for having me on the show, Tyrah.
Absolutely, Tyrah. We've all felt that pressure at some point, haven't we? That's such a great interview. Thank you.